The Krillian guards laughed as they shoved Dr. Isaac Rourke through the reinforced doors. Their chitinous faces twisted in what passed for amusement among their species, as the human stumbled forward, hands bound behind his back, uniform torn and bloodied from days of interrogation. "Enjoy your final moments. Human," the lead guard hissed through his translator. "Varkira hasn't fed in 3 cycles. She's particularly hungry." The massive chamber beyond was dimly lit, carved from solid stone and reinforced with energy barriers that hummed with lethal voltage. At its center, chained by bonds forged from collapsed star matter, lay the galaxy's most feared creature, a dragon whose scales shimmered like oil on water, whose eyes burned with ancient hatred, and whose claws had torn through battleships as if they were paper. Varkira. The door sealed behind Isaac with a finality that would have broken lesser men. The guard's laughter echoed down the corridor, fading into silence. Isaac stood perfectly still, assessing. His tactical mind, the same mind that had kept hundreds of soldiers alive on 17 different war-torn worlds, catalogued everything. The dragon's labored breathing, the infected wounds along her flanks where the chains had cut deep, the way she held her left wing at an odd angle. "So," Varkira's voice rumbled through the chamber, resonant and ancient, "they send me a morsel who does not run. How disappointing. I prefer my food to have some fight in it." Her massive head swung toward him, jaws parting to reveal teeth the size of combat knives. But Isaac didn't move, didn't even flinch. "Those wounds are infected," he said calmly, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. "The one on your left flank especially. I'd estimate you have maybe 5-6 days before sepsis sets in fully. They're not feeding you to kill me. They're hoping you'll die from those wounds and they can claim a human killed the great Varkira." The dragon's eyes narrowed, twin furnaces of violet flame. "You dare?" "I dare because I'm Dr. Isaac Rourke," he interrupted, taking a step forward despite the very real possibility of being incinerated. "The healer of the fallen. I've set bones for Thaxian berserkers mid-battle. I've performed surgery inside a crashing dropship. I've pulled soldiers back from death's door so many times that they gave me a nickname in 17 languages." He took another step. "And I've never lost a patient I chose to save." Varkira stared at him, and for the first time in 300 years, she felt something other than rage or hunger, curiosity. Why would the healer of the fallen be here in Krillian chains? "Because I wouldn't let them execute wounded prisoners," Isaac said simply. "They wanted me to decide who lived and who died based on their species, their allegiance. I told them every life I could save was worth saving." He smiled grimly. "Apparently that made me a traitor to human interests." The dragon lowered her head slightly, studying this strange creature who spoke of mercy in a galaxy that had shown her none. She had been captured during the siege of Zarthan, where she had defended her world against Krillian invasion. They had killed her clutch, destroyed her home, and made her a spectacle, a monster to be displayed, starved, and eventually killed for entertainment. "You speak of saving lives," she growled, "yet you are human. Your kind wages war across the stars. My kind also runs into burning buildings to save strangers." Isaac countered, moving closer still. "We're contradictions, sure. Violent and peaceful, destructive and creative. But you want to know what I've learned?" He was within striking distance now, looking up at her without fear. Every species is. Even dragons. Varkira could have killed him with a thought, could have bathed him in flame that burned hot enough to melt starship hulls. Instead, she did something she hadn't done since her capture. She chose mercy. "The chains," she said quietly. "Can you see the locking mechanisms?" Isaac's eyes lit up, not with fear but with professional interest. "Turn slightly. Let me see." For the next hour, as guards patrolled outside oblivious to what was happening within, Dr. Isaac Rourke did what he did best. He studied, he analyzed, and he healed. Using a piece of sharp stone and his knowledge of Krillian engineering gleaned from treating their soldiers, he began working on the infected wounds first, cleaning them with strips torn from his own uniform, speaking constantly in that calm, measured voice that had talked down suicidal soldiers and panicking civilians alike. "I had a patient once," he said, as he worked on the particularly nasty wound on her flank. "Vexarian shock trooper. Everyone said they couldn't feel pain, that they were just biological weapons. But when I removed the shrapnel from his spine, he cried, not from pain, from relief. From being seen as something other than a weapon. He paused. They've done the same to you, haven't they? Made you a monster so they don't have to face what they've done. Valkyra's eyes, which had burned with hatred for so long, began to dim, not with death, but with something far more dangerous to the Krillian Empire. Hope. Why? She whispered. Why save a creature that could kill you? Isaac looked up at her, and in his eyes she saw the same fire that had kept him alive through 17 wars. The same unshakable conviction that had made him a legend. Because that's not who you are, he said simply. You're a guardian who lost everything, and I've never met a guardian I wouldn't fight beside. 3 days later, when the guards came to retrieve the humans' remains, they found the cell empty. The star matter chains lay broken, their supposedly unbreakable locks picked with surgical precision. Of Dr. Isaac Rourke and the dragon Valkyra, there was no sign, but across the galaxy, a new legend began to spread. Of a dragon who had learned mercy from a human, and a healer who had gained the most fearsome guardian in known space. The Krillian Empire would soon learn what 17 worlds already knew. You don't cage the healer of the fallen, and you definitely don't make him angry.